कैसा, यह श्रुति वेद कहता। बिना गुरु ज्ञान कैसा, ज्ञान बिना मुक्ति कैसी, आवे तेरे ध्यान में। ज्ञान बिना मुक्ति कैसी, आवे तेरे ध्यान में। गुरु ब्रह्म रूप जानो, शिव का स्वरूप मानो। छल कपट त्याग कीजे, गुरु जी की सेवा कीजे। छल कपट त्याग कीजे, गुरु जी की सेवा कीजे। सद्गुरु के चरण लीजे, खेलिए मैदान में। सद्गुरु के चरण लीजे, खेलिए मैदान में। गुरु ब्रह्म रूप जानो, शिव का स्वरूप मानो। गुरु के समान नाही, दूसरा जहान में। गुरु ब्रह्म रूप जानो, शिव का स्वरूप मानो। पाप से बचावे गुरु, ज्ञान को सिखावे गुरु। ब्रह्म से मिलावे गुरु, तुर्य पर ध्यान में। गुरु ब्रह्म रूप जानो, शिव का स्वरूप मानो। यह श्रुति वेद कहता, बिना गुरु ज्ञान कैसा। ज्ञान बिना मुक्ति कैसे, आवे तेरे ध्यान में। गुरु ब्रह्म रूप जानो, शिव का स्वरूप मानो। छल कपट त्याग कीजे, गुरु जी की सेवा कीजे। सद्गुरु के चरण लीजे, खेलिए मैदान में। गुरु ब्रह्म रूप जानो, शिव का स्वरूप मानो। ओम सहना भवतु, सहनौ भुनक्तु, सह वीर्यं करवावहै। तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ओम शांति शांति शांति। ओम श्री चिन्मय सद्गुरवे नमः। अज्ञानान्तरगहनपतितान् आत्मविद्योपदेशैः त्रातुं लोकान् भवदवशिखा। तापपापच्यमानान् मुक्त्वा मौनं वटविटपिनो मूलतो निस्सरन्ति। शम्भोर्मूर्तिश्चरति भुवने शंकराचार्यरूपा। मौन व्याख्या प्रकटित परब्रह्मतत्त्वं युवानं वर्षिष्ठान्तेव सदृशगणैरावृतं ब्रह्मनिष्ठैः। आचार्येन्द्रं करकलितचिन्मुद्रमानन्दरूपं स्वात्मा रामं मुदितवदनं दक्षिणामूर्तिमीडे। वटपीठे भूमिभागे निषण्णं सकलमुनिजनानां ज्ञानदातारमारात् त्रिभुवनगुरुमीशं दक्षिणामूर्तिदेवं जननमरणदुःखच्छेददक्षं नमामि। चित्रं वटतरोर्मूले वृद्धाः शिष्या गुरुर्युवा गुरोस्तु मौनं व्याख्यानं शिष्यास्तु छिन्नसंशयाः निधये सर्वविद्यानां भिषजे भवरोगिणां गुरवे सर्वलोकानां दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। ॐ नमः प्रणवार्ताय शुद्धज्ञानैकमूर्तये निर्मलाय प्रशान्ताय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः।
विश्वं दर्पणदृश्यमाननगरी तुल्यं निजान्तर्गतम् पश्यन्नात्मने मायया बहिर्वोद्भूतं यथा निद्रया यः साक्षात् कुरुते प्रबोधसमये स्वात्मानमेवाद्वयम् तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्री दक्षिणामूर्तये बीजस्यान्तरिवाङ्कुरो जगदिदं प्राङ्निर्विकल्पं पुनः माया कल्पितदेशकालकलना वैचित्र्यचित्रीकृतम् मायावीव विजृम्भयत्यपि महायोगी वयस्वेच्छया तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्री दक्षिणामूर्तये। Hari Om friends, welcome to this Vichara Sadhana Satsanga on Sri Dakshinamurty Stotram. With the help of our Swami's commentary, we are discussing the portions related to second stanza, and we have covered so far 11 paras. Last time on the 11th para, the last statement was, similarly, the Supreme has never modified itself, Vichara, to be the world. That was our last point of discussion. You will find that the last 2-3 satsangas on Thursdays, we are hardly able to discuss on a given statement. So on 6th we have discussed 10th para, 7th partly we have discussed, and on 28th immediately there was a break in between. On 20th we have 11th para in part, and then we had one sentence only, then second sentence in second sitting. And likewise, last time we have covered the last one, when through imagination and individual dreams, his waking status never gets distorted by his dream experiences. Similarly, the Supreme has never modified itself to be the world. And we try to correlate how the dream and waking state of experiences can be equated with the actual point where it is said Supreme has never modified. That was our last discussion, very important discussion. And we have seen the two states are being compared, that the experience in one state is not valid in the other state. So now the experience in here in the waking state or dream state has nothing to do with the experience in the fourth state. So fourth state is the independent and the real state in which the Supreme is experienced. Please check up. If you have anything further to be discussed on this point, so modification on all takes place only in the state of waking and dream. Everything is subject to change. The world of OET is subject to change. The world, the equipments of BMI are subject to change. And Mr. PFT also is subject to change in its ideas. So the whole lot is subject to change. But the Om, which represents the Supreme, is not subject to change. So the experience of the Turiya state, fourth state, has nothing to do with the experiences of our dream and waking state. So this was the idea last time we discussed and tried to understand. Or you have any further discussions?
Guruji, this fourth state, which I'm assuming we are referring to as the state of awareness, or the pure consciousness. We know that Chidabhas is only in the Jagrut Avastha. And Chidabhas is the reflection. It is, it is the reflection. It is not the reflected entity. So does that mean that the Turiyam is the reflected entity while Chidabhas is the reflection? Is that how we can correlate directly?
No, basically the pure consciousness is the reflected. Chidabhas is reflection. Pure consciousness is referred so with that name or term only because it is always associated with the upadhis. Upadhi and upahita is the relationship where the upahita, pure consciousness, is independent of upadhis. There he serves merely as a witness. Now, this witness consciousness, the antasakshi, is not different from the sarvasakshi, which is a universal witness consciousness. This is how it is connected. Then the universal witness consciousness is with reference to the object of witness, and that is the entire universe. So universal consciousness witnesses the universe. The internal antasakshi, the consciousness within, is witnessing all those activities of the BMI in the world of OET. Okay. Now, the pure, all-pervasive, universal witness consciousness without reference to the object of witness, which is apparent, the universe, is itself called as the infinite awareness. Right? Infinite awareness is the nature of the Supreme. So if infinite awareness itself is not subject to any modification, there is no question of Supreme getting modified. The Supreme is again not different from the Brahman. Supreme is the reflection of Brahman in Maya. Therefore, we have to go to the reflected. All the time our attempt is from reflection to reflected with the given references. Last reference is that Paramatma, Parameshwara is reflection of Brahman in Maya. Then comes the total mind, or what is called as Hiranyagarbha. And it is Hiranyagarbha or the total mind that projects the universe or creation. So the first thought or first sankalpa itself is Brahmaji, the creator, and it gives rise to multiple thoughts. It gives rise to creation. Now, this is all story of reflections only. But the original is Brahman with Maya, as it is an inherent power, inseparable from Brahman. Only when the Brahman becomes conscious of his inherent power, that Maya takes the advantage and reflects it. So long as he is awareful of that, there is no problem. When he becomes conscious of, then it paves the way or opportunity for objectifying. Therefore, the Maya receives the reflection of Brahman, which becomes Atman, Paramatman, etc. So, Paramatman to start with. Paramatma is our nature. So, this Paramatma has infinite awareness as its content. Now, with reference to the universe, the infinite awareness identifies as pure consciousness, which is witnessing the universe. Thus, we are coming down to level. A part of that, a ray of that, a pencil of ray of the universal witness consciousness reflects in individual intellect of human being. And then that reflection illumines all the vrittis or thoughts within us that arises due to mind and intellect and presence of prana force, life force. So, Chidabhas is the last point up to which there is a link up to awareful being as Paramatma. Madatma, Sarva Bhutatma, and that is Paramatma. So, this link is available from Chidabhas onwards. After that, in thought you cannot discover anything, in emotions you can't, in the world of perception you cannot, world of objects you cannot. So this is how we are trying to discuss and understand. So here Paramatma is not subject to modification, it is avikari, Atma is avikari, and therefore its contents are infinite and they are also not subject to modification. So now the question is the first sankalpa, where the I becomes self-conscious I, that is, I am the self, I alone am. May I become many is the second thought. First thought creates the space, the second thought creates the sense of time. Then with the spatio-temporal, the world is created. The universe is created. So this is the story of thoughts appearing as thought forms appearing as the gross forms in the universe, which are perceived by the individual. So up to this, is there anything that requires to be further discussed?
No, and the only part on which I'm trying to get some clarity is, at what point does it stop remaining Vyashti and at what point does it become Samashti? So when we say Turiyam, are we still referring to a Vyashti concept, or is Turiyam at where is the linkage with Turiyam?
Everything is in Vyashti only. Everything is in the individual. Whether you talk about Paramatma, you talk about Brahman, Paramatma, Atma, or further down is definitely we are discussing, but everything is within us only. But since we cannot apprehend immediately within us, unless we study the scriptures, reflect on them, own up that as our knowledge, then contemplate upon that, you will not feel the presence of all these things within you. Till then, the individual is perceiving the world. Therefore, the individual and the world, which is invested with some powers, must have some control by the powerful. So the third idea of God is also created. So Jiva, Jagat and Ishvara created. Then Ishvara is told as the reflection of Brahman in Maya. Jiva is defined as the reflection of Brahman in Avidya. So this is how everything is within us. As we enter into the realms of the intellect, which is pure or sattvic, then we start going into the inner recesses of the intellect, and these inner recesses take you to what we are now appreciating as totality. It takes you first to the all-pervasive witness, universal witness, then it takes you to infinite awareness, then it takes you to Paramatman, whose nature is infinite awareness, and up to that only we can go. Then with the help of Mahavakyas, we become one with Brahman. So this is the overall plan which we are trying to appreciate, recognize, and then direct our thoughts in the line of that. With the help of text, of course. We are not going out of text. There is no independent discussion. It is based on the text and the commentary thereof. Again, commentary also, Swamiji has acknowledged that he has followed the original commentary, etc., that he has also recognized. Therefore, we are very safe if we go by the text and Swamiji's commentary in understanding what are the contents of the text. So what Adi Shankara has to convey us through Dakshinamurti, how he is scoring to checkmate all his opponents in the different theories of creation, all that we will understand. We have to closely follow Swamiji's commentary. That's why we are going by sentence or words. So that was the last statement of 11th para. That Supreme has never modified itself, Vichara, to be the world. Now the Ishvara is appearing in as the world of names and forms, it is said. So Ishvara being the first Sankalpa or the thought, Brahmaji, therefore the thought can become grossified as a form in the outer world. The thought forms within us become projected as the gross forms by the individual. So up to this we have so far come, where this is all dealing with the creation and the creator. So therefore it started with Bija Sankura in this verse particularly. Now, do we proceed or you have further discussion? We'll make the points clear, we'll make the concepts clear, without which we will not proceed. Carrying the doubts in the mind, we don't want to move. If you have a specific clarification to be sought or some more contribution, then most welcome. We will continue the discussion.
Only one point I'll request Guruji. See, we follow 2 or 3 different approaches and we arrive at the same unity. So the question I wanted some guidance on is that, do I include the samashti in as part of my own analysis, or as I keep analyzing my own nature, samashti becomes irrelevant? So this is the part where I wanted to know what is the approach to be taken.
Now, in this case, earlier we have discussed one figure. I recall the Povai ashram in those days, that in front of the students' hostel building, Vivekara and Vairagyalaya, Vivekalaya for brahmacharis, Vairagyalaya for sannyasis or vanaprasthis, there was a kind of pond with waters, and a star-like figure where there were two triangles concurrent, one with the apex on top, another with the base on top. So that kind of star was there. And then when I visited those days, someone explained me that these are the triangles of Vyashti and Samashti. Okay, having the same center. So this common center, when there is the centers are concurrent in two triangles, it means that what is there in Samashti is entirely represented in miniature in Vyashti. So like a drop of oceanic water and the ocean, contents are same. For the time being, because we have the sense of individuality, therefore Miss Waves consider herself to be different from other waves and much away from, therefore much away from the ocean. But the moment it tries to recognize and realize its own, her own inner contents as consciousness, immediately it becomes one with the ocean, which is universal consciousness. So these two triangles is a very indicative. Now it is no more there. It is removed in the renovation project. But this idea that both are concurrent gives us that there is nothing separate. The Vyashti is not separate from the Samashti. Vyashti is a miniature of Samashti. Therefore, whatever are the contents of Samashti are the same contents of Vyashti. Now, this we have discussed in a different language as the entire infinite light of awareness. Then the universe, the light of universal witness consciousness. Then the ray of that light reflecting in our intellect as Chidabhas. So within us, there is a ray of light, which is pure consciousness, and its reflection as Chidabhas, conditioned consciousness. Both are there. Once we have reached the level of pure consciousness or witness consciousness, our job is over. Then it immediately gets identified with the larger scale, like wave and ocean. Similarly, here also, from the individual pure witness consciousness to universal witness, Sarvasakshi, and then the Mahavakya will help us that this Sarvasakshi is Brahman. Well, this is, we need to reflect repeatedly on this so that we get a smooth link from our present state. We are not, it's not even our present state, perhaps, for majority of us, when we are conscious of and identified with Chidabhas. This level is a must, that we must shift from thought to light that illumines the thought. This is the last pair of discrimination, which is called as Prakasha and Vimarsha. Vimarsha means thought. Prakasha means the one who illumines. So there, when we come to that Chidabhas and the thought that is illuminated, there our discrimination is last, where we reject or negate the thought and identify with the light. Moment we identify with the light, then the further link will be available. Because it's a basic question of matter and spirit. Thought is the subtlest form of matter. And we negate that as matter. Illumining the thought is the consciousness, whether conditioned or pure, both are illuminating them. With the sunlit wall example, we have appreciated that. So once that level we have reached, then our links are clear. Thereafterwards is the question of continuous sustaining kind of contemplative effort. Okay. Now, is there anyone who wants to further continue the discussion or has something to clarify? See, it is not over. Second stanza is not over. We are only discussing. So we'll continue. As the doubt come, we are always welcome for our discussions. So we'll take up the 12th para. The world play of creation, sustenance, and destruction is available as our experiences only during our state of delusion, and they all are ever in Him only. First statement. Remember, the apparent snake, crevice, stick, and garland are all delusions of the one and the same reality, the rope. Para is over. Very small para, but it is stuffed with subtle ideas which needs to be appreciated. Now, it is said that world play of creation, sustenance, and destruction. That means the creation, appearance of the form, sustenance of the form, and destruction of the forms. This is a play. Whose play it is, will wait. First, it is a play, and this play is being perceived by the individuals and in their state of delusion. The waking state itself is a state of delusion because there the consciousness is conditioned as Chidabhas, and the vasanas or the avidya have an influence over and its own product as BMI, and therefore Mr. Ego associated with individual or individuality. This projects the thought forms out. And for this, the first verse is the guide. Vishwam darpana drishyamana nagari tulyam. So here, the first sentence, that world play of creation, sustenance, and destruction is available as our experiences. It is our experiences. Our experiences are dependable or dependent on three factors. I, the subject, this, the world of OET, and their connectivity, which gives rise to experiencing as the third factor. Experiencer, the subject, experienced, the object, and the relationship called as experiencing, made possible by the instruments of experience, that is mind and intellect. Okay, when these three factors come together, then only the experience is possible. And this experience is of appearance of forms, sustenance of forms, and disappearance of forms. This is only for the deluded individual and is compared with the crevices. If you are fed up with the idea of rope and snake, now instead of snake, the another idea is a crevice, a crack-like thing to the earth. So on that ground, there may be a crack. So somebody will perceive instead of a rope, a crack on the floor, on the what you call ground, crack, crevice. Okay, that is one. And the another one is a garland, as if a long garland. Garland means not the circular one, not tied one, open one. There's a long thread and the flowers, etc. So that is in the darkness may be seen like that. The rope will be seen like a garland. And another one given example is the, where is that? Stick. Stick is another. A stick is fallen down there on the ground. Okay. The apart from the snake. So now snake, crevice, stick, and garland. They are all delusions of one and the same reality, the rope. Now the rope is the reality that takes us to the infinite awareness, which are the contents of Paramatma. Therefore, we can say here that from awareness onwards, the Maya starts its process of projecting the creation. From awareness onwards, it's potentially present there, and slowly, slowly, the consciousness level, the sankalpa in consciousness, then another sankalpa, and time space are formed. The intellect, when it is said total intellect, Mahatattva, in Mahatattva there is Ahankar also. So the Ahankar associated with the intellect gives rise to one thought, first sankalpa. The first sankalpa is so strong, it encourages number of another sankalpas. May there be this, may there be that. The Bible describes, may there be a mountain, and there was mountain. And likewise, here just merely by wishing, by thinking, the forms are created. They are all Pashan Atmani. They are all in Paramatma only. They are in Him. It is clearly said. The statement says they are all ever in Him. The statement is that in a state of delusion, so first sentence is a big sentence. The world play of creation, sustenance, and destruction is available as our experiences only during the state of delusion, and they are all ever in Him only. So these are all ideas are only in the Paramatma. Because of the infinite awareness as his nature, all the awareness and consciousness, two levels, they project the creation on Paramatma, the existence. So, Satta and Sphuranam, these ideas are to be kept in mind in understanding. The Satta or pure existence of aspect is related to the world, and Sphuranam, the pure consciousness aspect, is related to the individual who perceives the world of OET. So it is only for the experience of the deluded jiva. The state is also called of delusion. The waking state is a state of delusion. And he perceives the world of very many and multiple forms. So this is the level up to which we are at present, and we have to level up ourselves up to the universal witness consciousness, infinite light of awareness, then Paramatma, and become. That is our self. Our self is Paramatma. At this moment, we are not even conscious that this Paramatma is within us as Antaryami, the inner controller, like an anvil. Is stable, is not subject to change. Whereas all things on the supported by this anvil of consciousness, all other things subject to change. They are created, they are sustained, they are destroyed. Likewise, within us itself, there is a rise of thought, there is a sustenance of thought, there is a what you can say, subsiding of the thought, and then there is a gap again, and there is another thought rising in us. So this is all going on in consciousness. Now the consciousness is the nature of Paramatma. Consciousness or awareness is the nature of Paramatma. These levels, consciousness, awareness, are with reference to the presence and absence of BMI. In absence of BMI or equipment, it is awareness. With presence of BMI, it is witness consciousness. But together, it is internal. Antaryami it is called. Antaryami, the one who controls the within. So the consciousness within us is Antaryami, who controls. This is the level being described here in this statement. Therefore, we say that this is all happening at the level of awareness, consciousness. And Paramatma is only present, whose gracious, blissful presence allows awareness to take care of the existing total vasanas, then the consciousness allowing the equipments to manifest these vasanas expression. So whose game is going on? Individual is not playing the game. This is the game of Paramatma. That is why the bhajan is very key, a very important bhajan. Shivaya Parameshwaraya Shashishekharaya Bhavaya Gunasambhavaya Shivatandavaya. These two things are described here. There is a lot of stuff of ideas contained in that bhajan, and they are provide a sustaining line of thinking in our meditative or contemplative effort. Therefore, the Paramatman by himself is not subject to any modification. The second statement in the same para says, Paramatma is not subject to any modification. Then who is subject to modification? Awareness, modifying to become consciousness, modifying to become Chidabhas, and creates the individuality. Then the outer world, having various forms, they have relative existence. The relative existence means it is unreal, and even unreal is experienced by us means it is supported by the absolute existence or pure existence, so to say. So pure existence supporting the outer relative existence of the world, and the pure consciousness witnessing and activating the equipments so that the individual, egoistic individual, can perceive the world of OIT. This game is going on since awareness level onward, which is the nature of Paramatma. So the awareness is projecting, consciousness is projecting the concept of creation on Paramatma only. And therefore the second sentence says that in him, I mean the first sentence only, end portion, the state of delusion, they are all ever in him only. And the jiva in his state of delusion perceives the world outside, which has a beginning and an end, creation, sustenance, and destruction. So as such, what is experienced by the ignorant, deluded individual as the world of names and forms is actually the projection of infinite light of awareness onto the Paramatman. Darpana drishyamana nagari tulyam nijantargatam pasyan atmani paramatmani. That point is now coming here. Pasyan atmani mayaya bahirivodbhutam yatha nidreya swapnavasthayam. So only two sentences constitute this 12th para. And the first statement only talks about the game that is being played. It is a world play of creation sustenance. Who is conducting this play or projecting the play? Not the individual immediately, but it is. So for our convenience, we are making the samashti out, because Vyashti is not able to understand samashti ordinarily. But as the Vyashti, the individual, progresses himself in terms of its grasping the salient points of the scriptural statements, is understanding the elucidation by the teacher on the same, and further he is reflecting independently with the help of the logical reasoning that he has got. When this is there, then he starts getting the ideas of samashti as not different from the world within. It's all there within us as only. So this is the essential points in 12th para. Any further discussion?
Example of rope and snake.
Hmm.
I am different than rope.
Or
I am different than rope.
your voice is not clear. What is that? What is defined?
In example of rope,
Huh.
I am different and rope is different.
I am different and rope is different.
Yes. But
Ah.
when we parallel it, then I am rope and I am trying to knowing my own nature. So that is why it becomes difficult.
Now elaborate that concept. I am rope.
Yes.
And
I'm trying to understand my nature. Right now, I am considering
understand what?
myself as my nature.
My nature. So I need to understand my nature.
Yes.
Then the soap and snake and rope will disappear. But now at present, we also must be able to understand what is our present status. Present status is, as such, I am seeing the snake on the rope outside. But the point is, I am the rope. Okay. And snake is projected on me.
Yes.
By whom?
Myself. That is because of avidya, I consider myself as.
Because by avidya only is projecting the snake concept on the rope. Now the avidya is influencing its own product as ego and as BMI. Therefore, it's influencing the equipment so that out of that equipment, the mind is, the sense organs are meant to be extrovert. So that immediately, as the person awakes from the sleep, immediately he as consciousness reaches the level of the body. And body becomes then the conscious. And the conscious body then activates the sense organs, and then there is a perception of plurality outside. So this is the trick of avidya maya, which makes the instrument facing outside is already designed. It is already designed by Paramatma or the infinite awareness that these all organs are supposed to be extrovert. Why? Because there is a world created and the person must objectify it. When person objectifies, interact, then the game is on. But who has initiated the game? Not the individual. He appears in the scene and finds to be participating in the game. But who has initiated the game? Individual has not initiated immediately. So then he goes back first to become the reflected or conditioned consciousness. Then he sees its source as the pure consciousness. And then pure consciousness is the nature of the self. Therefore, he said that I alone am. And all this world is projected on me by avidya maya. This needs to be appreciated at the individual level. Then we can, from this individual pure witness consciousness, in any individual, in all of them, sarvantaryami. So this consciousness is not different from the universal witness. And then Vedanta will tell us that this universal witness consciousness or Sarva Shakshi is Brahman. It's a revealing statement. Tattvamasi. So the Prajnanam Brahma. All these are only relevant to that seeker who has reached to that level. At present, I'm not even aware of my conditioned consciousness or Chidabhas. Therefore, my status in the waking state is the state of delusion created by avidya, caused by avidya. So, avidya causes the desires in the intellect, agitations in the mind, and the Mr. Ego, disturbed by all that, is worried about his gains of desire fulfillment. So he is very keen on that. Thus, the individual becomes extrovert and interested in the happenings of the in the world around. Therefore, going by that situation, participating in that with the expectation that this will make me happier than earlier, more comfortable, more luxurious, etc. And the game as planned is going on. We wonder, there have been poems, what would be the world from the standpoint of an ant? What would be its capacity to perceive the world? What is the world for these birds and animals? They don't have all such concepts. They only make use of the facilities provided in the world as as stimulated by their instincts and impulses. It happens with them. They don't know what's happening. It happens with all of them. Therefore, the concept of the world is not worth their consideration. They cannot conceive. It is the man who conceives. And there also a delusion is because whether first there is a form outside, which is by repeated association builds the thought form, Vishakar Vritti, or it is the thought form first which is able to project the solid form outside. This is a vicious circle. Without the form outside, there is no question of forming a thought form. Without a thought form, the outer object cannot be perceived. Like a child has got open eyes and child sees different forms, but doesn't understand what it is unless we introduce to the child, this is this and that is that. So see, ours is the state of delusion in the waking. Ours is the state of imagination when we are in the dream. Ours is a state of silence, or we can say absence of everything that we had in the waking and dream. That is better. Absence of everything that is in the waking and dream. That is deep sleep. And we find a good relax. And then we get up. Moment we get up, immediately the consciousness which was there in the third and fourth state immediately comes to the body level and then gives us the feeling and the body. Then that activates the sense organs, equipment, and they are meant for seeing outside. Therefore, immediately the world is perceived. Jivaha janati. First, he perceives. Then ichhati. He reacts to the perceived in terms of I want, desires. Ichhati. And then yatatecha. At three levels of intellect, mind, and the body, it starts. It knows, perceives the world, reacts with the perceived, and wants that, whatever he has perceived. And then, in order to fulfill his want, he initiates the action at the body level, body, sense organs, or organs of action level. So, this is how the individual is met to interact on his own with the outer world. And for this, we are discussing unfoldment. The source reason is Satta and Sphuranam. Satta with the outer world, which supports or substrates the relative existence of the forms. And Sphuranam is pure consciousness, which witnesses and enlivens BMI equipments. So thus the set is clear
Guruji,
and the
this
interaction
is
goes on.
so sorry. But Guruji, this Satta and Sphuranam has to be inside me, no Guruji. This is where I have the problem. Because see, if we say Satta is outside and Sphuranam is inside, it always feels like the outer story is different, the inner story is different.
Now, when you say Satta is inside, what is your idea? How the Satta is inside?
My Satta is inside because apart from the Satta which is inside, nothing else can objectify non-existence. And only existence is outside.
Now, if Satta is inside, I should be eternally existing. I don't have that concept at all.
No, now I don't have that concept, but that is the concept that I'm going towards.
So that is the concept which keeps me away from the eternal existence. That I am, but I am not, because avidya has veiled my true nature, which is Satchit aspect, and that Satchit aspect, in which the Sat aspect, why even Chit aspect is not appreciated, much less the Sat aspect. So those Sat aspect may be within us, Sat and Chit aspect are within us, but avidya has veiled that Satchit aspect, and therefore the mind is restless. Intellect is not able to see the reality. With the help of intellect, the seeker is not able to see his own real nature. Therefore, the mind is restless. When the mind is restless, the senses are, goaded to go out and get something which will make him restful. The mind will become restful. So the Sat aspect as such, therefore he says that the world is real. In the world I am born only a few years back and I have to quit the world. But the world is permanent and real. And it has a capacity to make me happy. So this is a wrong concept, influenced by, first, veiled by avidya is our true nature. And then, in the other hand, it projects the world forms for him. The world forms are also unreal because it is projected by avidya maya. But still I am able to experience those illusory objects because they are supported by Sat aspect. So there the Sat aspect being, because there is no point in that. Only in the human mind these are all problems. In all other minds there are only minds. Here we have intellect, and therefore we can think, we can question, we can discriminate. But that is not the case with the rest, less evolved creatures. Therefore, for them, it only happens, things happen, and their equipments are being used by the totality. So therefore, the Sat aspect at present is allocated to the outer world, and Chit aspect is allocated to the inner world of the individual. Whereas the truth is that Satchit Atma Brahma. This is the truth. But that Sat and Chit are inseparable is not yet realized. Why? Because even the Chit that is within us is not realized. The conditioned Chit is not realized. Siddhabhas. So where is the question of the Sat aspect? Sat aspect becomes far away. So first the Shastra is the first means for us to know, and logic is another means, second means to know. Second one is logic. So we can see the logic as allowed by the scripture, what logic they use in convincing us, what logic the teacher is following, and then go by that logic, and with that logical reasoning within you as your capacity, you can independently think on all these two aspects, scriptural and the teacher's exposition, and convince yourself. What is important is a firm determination about your nature. Once this is formed, then you are challenging Maya. Remember important statement by Acharya, Maya Vicharam na sahate. That's the only weak point of Maya. If you start conducting the inquiry, Maya or Avidya cannot stand. So first you have to challenge Avidya by undertaking this reflection process and try to understand whether Shastra is telling whether it is logically possible is the first thing to be tried. First we have to check. For that independent thinking is required. So at present, Satta Sphuranam is the only these two principles as though divided, the Sat aspect given to the outer world, Chit aspect given to the inner world and the individual, and thus explain to us why and wherefore of this creation. And then we have to think independently. And all those ideas were discussed in unfoldment. Please go through that portion, real and unreal. Beautiful. It is all commentary on the verse number 16 of second chapter. Nasato vidyate bhavaha, na bhavo vidyate sata. Is there such a capsule with a solid capacity to reveal to us the ultimate truth? The statement, Nasato vidyate bhavaha, na bhavo vidyate sata. One line only, but it is packed with such significances. And when we try to test this understanding with ourselves, the body is falsified, mind is falsified, intellect is falsified, only consciousness is valid. Don't they? It is a game of only consciousness. In consciousness, there is nothing, but without consciousness, there is nothing again. So, in the presence of consciousness, the world of things and beings can be perceptible, they become perceptible, equipments get the necessary power to perceive, to aspire, to act, etc., to know. So, this way, these two sentences constitute this 12th para. And finally, it is concluded that they are all in Him only. Him means at present the individual is not the He. He has still to realize that He am I, Soham Asmi. He am I, the individual has to realize. Till he realizes, he has to accept that the He is outside, supporting the relative existence of the world, and his awareness, consciousness, etc., is within the individual, which enables him to be conscious of the outer surrounding, conscious of the inner world, etc. Or it is only for the time being a temporary stepping stone for us to go higher. Yeah, how tough exercise is. Swamiji has only narrated in two statements, but we are discussing it for last half an hour. Only this new para, two sentences. So now we need not, nothing is to be gulped down, nor need you accept because it is said by the teacher, because it is there in the scriptures, so therefore it must be okay, it must be correct. You must accept it as correct subject to verification. Apply your own intelligent, independent thinking. You also have been blessed with the logical reasoning. Therefore, think, and once you think it is logically possible, then you should not give up. Then don't see it was only academic interest and all that. Don't give that bluff. Then you need to follow it. And Vivekananda is the example for that. He kept on asking, have you realized God? Have you seen God, etc.? Till he came to Ramakrishna, who said, yes, I have seen. As I am seeing you, I have seen God also. That was a big jerk for him. So once he was convinced, thereafterwards he did not give it up. He followed that. So that is the courage and guts required, that once you are convinced about it, yourself convinced with the help of scripture, teacher and all, you are convinced. Now follow it. So that is the what we called as Buddhi Pramanya Vad is this. And once you are convinced, you are committed for that. Then don't say it is academic and all that. Yes, any further discussion? Anyone else? So shall we proceed to the 13th? Think we are not in a hurry at all. I don't have to any binding of committing a portion with a committee in a given time. You and I must be free to discuss. Otherwise, then we will not have access to the knowledge. Only 10 verses are there, and we are on the second one. And Acharya's attempt is not only to elucidate the students, but to refute all the theories of creation by other schools of thought. Therefore, he is very sharp and very precise and concise in his presentation. Then Swamiji's commentary also, it must be sellable. Therefore, he has got only so many pages, few books. He also has commented, and we have to open it up through discussion and reflection.
When it is said that this is play, then I can find a simile, like someone has blindfolded me, and then blindfolded. So there is some cover on my eyes, and sometimes when cover is opened, I am in waking world. Then again blindfolded. When that is opened, I am in dream state, and then this goes on. And the point is, whenever my eyes are open, I then I don't think on who is doing this, but what is this? So in waking world, I am with all the objects, and I start behaving or interacting with them. Then again, I am blindfolded. Dream world comes. Then I don't think how it has come and who is blindfolded. I start interacting with the dream world, and it is going on like that. When I will start thinking that why it is happening and who is doing, then there is possibility that I may turn back and find out what is that which is making all this play.
In Bhagavatam also, Krishna comes now and then and closes the eyes of Gopi, or rather close her eyes suddenly from coming from behind and closing her eyes. So this is somehow you are relating to your contribution is something close to that idea. But here basically the game is not with the individual. Basically the game is for the one who is playing, that is the Lord. First the creator, then the Lord of Lords, or Paramatma, the Supreme. That is game. That is why when once Swamiji was asked, why this creation? He said it is for his recreation. So it is for his game and joy. Oh, only we say that it is my world of feelings, etc. And therefore we condition it to ourselves. Otherwise, it is an open world in which we are the part of the world. We are not objective. We are objectifying the world itself is something that is the trick of avidya maya. That we see the world is different, I am different. So this objectification itself is the by influence of avidya. Therefore, we are saying, feeling like this. Otherwise, this we, as you are saying, we are blind-eyed, etc. So that particular in that process, who is responsible for closing our eyes is the question. Immediate answer is avidya, and avidya is not different from maya. It's only technical terms with some context. At the individual level, what is called as avidya is called as maya at the totality level. So they are same power. It is the same power of delusion. But at the individual level, how avidya works here, it does not encourage any discrimination or inquiry. You are shown the world of attractive, tempting objects, things and beings, and you get engaged with that, you are interacting with that, and that makes you forget about your main problem. When you are suffering as a result of your interaction, then at that moment you are stunned by that. You are stunned, but it doesn't take you to the inquiry. You say that, okay, even this will pass away and then we will have good days later. We are hoping from tomorrow, that we hope that today is not well with us, tomorrow we will be happy. And we are postponing. And this is most dangerous. If we want to postpone it, then there is no hope for us. If we are immediately concerned with it and would not like to give it up till we realize, then only these ideas become useful for us. Otherwise, it becomes very difficult, first of all, to grasp. When we are trying to reflect on that with the help of commentary and the scripture, then we must further continuously consist that. Otherwise, avidya is there to make you forget through different situations, through different attractive things, and you get lost. Now, Ramakrishna Paramahansa gives you the example of a child which is crying for the mother. Now, mother is busy in the kitchen. She has to do a lot of work. She cannot afford to spend time with the child, though she wishes that. And child cries. So she comes out, gives one more toy before him. The child gets busy with the toy for some time and she manages to get her work done. Again, after some time, the child cries. She has to play tricks, but there is a limit. Child cannot be fooled like that. Finally, child cries with non-stop cries. Then she has to give up the work in the kitchen and she has to take care of the child. Likewise, if we are not consistent in our inquiry, what is the truth of my being? What is the truth of the world? If we are not consistent, and if we are postponing that, now today I'm busy, now is a business hour, we'll see that later. And we are postponing that, then we are saying we'll see after retirement. And by that time, the instruments are worn out. We are not able to hear properly, we are not able to speak properly, we are not able to remember. And at that level, if we think of conducting inquiry, we are only cheating ourselves. About this, only the youth and the middle age is the best age for one to conduct this inquiry. And it doesn't take us much time. Give a specific time only. Don't disturb your duty hours or all that. After having that, in your spare time, even if you are fully available, if you give a spare time of some, say 15 minutes, 20 minutes every day for that, either reading, reflecting, etc., then avidya cannot stand that. Avidya cannot stand inquiry. This is, we have to remember. And this thought itself should awaken us that somebody is playing a fool with me. This is therefore the statements are given us for us to reflect on. When it is said that you are in a state of delusion, I should see what is the cause of delusion. Why I'm seeing something else and not the reality. This is one aspect. Another statement provided here is, it is all within him only, all the time. So I'm not the one in whom it is happening. It is happening in the Supreme. So these two statements should make us reflect on this thoroughly. What two sentences constitute this 12th para, and we have discuss to the best of our ability, and Swamiji may bless us with our understanding. So here the one aspect we have seen, Sarga Sthiti Laya Karana Karana, one of the bhajan of Shiva says, Sarga Sthiti Laya, here it is explained as creation, sustenance and destruction. Cause of that is Maya, and cause of Maya is Brahman. Karana Karana, and that Lord Shiva represents Brahman on one side, and he represents the destroyer Rudra on the other side. When his Tandava is going on, it is related to the destruction aspect. So both are rolled in one, and that is called as supreme. So it is all with the cooperation of Paramatma and operation by the awareness and consciousness, the forms of Maya, that the world is projected onto the Supreme. And this world includes living and non-living. About non-living, they have no scope much, they exist. But in the living aspect, there is consciousness in them. 3 levels: subconscious, conscious, superconscious. All are having subconscious, that is mind. Man has got conscious, that is intellect. And with the help of intellect, he can go to the level of superconscious, where it becomes a witness consciousness, all pervasive, and all within all living beings, within all living beings, as well as without in the world outside. So this is how we are to, with the help of statements and our self-effort, we are to conduct the inquiry. These are the guiding 2 statements. And now we will proceed, but then now time is over. Therefore, the 2 sentences is a bit more progress, because last time we had only 1 sentence. Last 3 satsangs we had only one sentence. And now this time we have covered 2 sentences. Not bad. Let's stop here. Yasya prasadadahameva Vishnuhu Mayeva sarvam parikalpitancha Ittham vijanami sadatmarupam Tasyangri padmam pranatosmi nityam Tasyangri padmam pranatosmi nityam. Om Shri Chinmaya Sadgurave Namaha. Hari Om, everybody.
Hari Om, Guruji.